Hi to everybody. My name is Pavel, and the purpose of this video is to give you like short background about who I was, who I am, and where I'm going to be. And first of all, I would like to apologize for this background here behind me, and there is a lot of notes on the wall, but this is the way I am. I just simply if I need to achieve something throughout the day or throughout the week, I will make a note, I post it somewhere, so it is always in front of me. That way it keeps me committed to what I want to achieve. Now, where I'm from, I am from former Czechoslovakia. It used to be communist country at that time. Czechoslovakia is a country which is in the middle of the Europe. The capital is Prague, which is the heart of the Europe. And this is where I started my life. This is where I was born. And this is where I was also for the first time introduced to patterns of languages. Since in Czechoslovakia at that time the German language in the west part of the Czechoslovakia was very well requested. So when I was about 6-7 years old, I enrolled in a German class. Es ist nicht leicht, eine fremde Sprache zu lernen, which means it is not easy to learn another language. And then in 1968, the Warsaw Pact troops from Poland and from Hungary and from other countries of the Warsaw Pact, including Russians, they invaded our country. And that created a lot of pressure for everybody. It became kind of like a totalitarian regime. You couldn't travel, you couldn't go to the universities unless your parents were a member of the Communist Party. Simply, I don't want to go into description what the communism is, but this is where we lived. So it was very much restricted for people who didn't have kind of like connections with other people in the significant decision-making positions. So anyway, so this was 1968, and at that time I realized that, look, this is where we live and I don't like it. And I then continued my schooling, and at the age of 15 I was drafted in the army. It was a military school that of course brought certain benefits. It was free, but the consequence of that was that you had to serve in army for about 10 years as a professional soldier. So I was stripped of my youthful years from 15 to age of 19, being in that military academy, and then I had to sign commitment for about 10 years to serve as a professional soldier. I didn't like it, but I had no choice, but I had to. In between I started learning some languages. Something was telling me, Pavel, study languages and you have to get out of here. So eventually I managed to get out from the army in some miraculous way and got into the civil environment, and I started playing music as a professional musician. I went through different professions, and having finished my military nursing school, I could work in the hospital, and I did for some time, but I didn't like it that much because I had always these dreams to move somewhere else where I could realize my real potential, and that potential was languages. But based on the advices from my surroundings, such as parents, friends, I have never realized that dream. And this is sometimes very dangerous, because if you feel in your heart that you have inclination or you have a talent to something, you should follow it. Unfortunately, about 70% of people all over the world are in the wrong profession due to the fact that they do not follow their dreams. But I tell you, if the dream is big enough, then facts don't count at all. Something happens when you realize that you want to achieve something, and despite the circumstances, despite the conditions you might or you may find yourself in, it may prevent you from making the right decision, and then you will embark on the path that will not make you internally happy. So anyway, when I left the army, I was playing music for some time, and then we realized that to living in such a totalitarian regime, it's not possible to realize even a fraction of your dreams. So we started planning at that time with my wife to run away from communist country. It's not easy. At that time, we were only allowed to travel to Eastern Europe, such as Poland. We could go to Eastern Germany, we could go to Hungary, we could go to Russia, Ukraine, but there was some loophole. We could also go to Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, and that's what we did. We purchased the ticket and we went to Yugoslavia, and that was our plan, to run away from Yugoslavia to Italy. It was very dangerous, but we managed simply. But what was the driving force behind it was that dream, the dream that you walk on a free road in some country, that you are somewhere in a department store, that you can buy things that you need. These little dreams, but also the dream that you want to live in a free country, go to the university and study without any connections with the Communist Party as it used to be in former Czechoslovakia. So we managed to get to Yugoslavia. From Yugoslavia we managed to get to Venice, Venezia, Italia, hai capito? But before going there, because we knew that when we would arrive to Italy, we would be placed in the refugee camp that was located in Latina, close to Rome. Latina, vicino Roma. So year before this realization of this plan, I call it Alcatraz, I managed to learn Italian language secretly. At my work where I was working at that time as a dental assistant. I was studying secretly Italian language. So I could use it when I step in the Italian territory and go to Carabinieri to ask for the political asylum. So that's what happened. So we managed to get from Yugoslavia to Venice, to Venezia in Italy, and this is what started to be very, very interesting. The life turned upside down. We were sent to refugee camp. We arrived to refugee camp. In the refugee camp in Italy, Latina at that time, it was 1986. Food and place to sleep, nothing else. You got about $10 the first day, and that's it. And you have to survive. You wait in this refugee camp until you decide where you want to go, whether Australia or Canada or United States. These were these three options. And then you have to somehow survive. So thanks to that Italian language, la lingua più bella che abbia mai conosciuta, the Italian language, or the knowledge of the Italian language, allowed me to find the job very quickly. And I could not believe my own eyes what it means to know the language in a different country from the day number one. What benefits you get compared to the circumstances that were imposed on others who didn't know the language. It was horrible, but I don't want to go into details about that. I'm just trying to follow the path that you set up your dream and you go after it no matter what. Of course, your dream has to also merge with the situation that you are not going to hurt others. Yeah, but in our case, because we left illegally Czechoslovakia, the punishment for our friends and the families was that they were immediately deprived of their jobs by the Communist Party. It was revenge for them. Well, what can you do? That is what it is. So having found the job in Italy allowed me to work, to get money, and you could travel. The power of language, of whatever language you learn, is tremendous, because when people hear you speaking that language, what they say, you respect me, you respect my culture because you took your time to learn something about me, and that's why I'm going to give you my respect and I will help you. We got help so many times. You know, while being in the camp, in that refugee camp, and waiting for the political asylum, we eventually received the permission to go to Quebec, Montreal. We had to present ourselves in the Canadian embassy in Rome, and we were accepted. So while in that camp, I started studying French regularly and improved on my English. What I was mainly focusing on is the grammar, the syntax, the vocabulary, all these things which were extremely important. And eventually when we arrived to Montreal, to Quebec, then there's another, it's completely different world. You go from one set of circumstances to second set of circumstances, and you have to adjust again. And it is that adjustment and following that dream. So upon our arrival to Montreal, we were placed temporarily in, I already forgot the address, but anyway, so we received some small apartment, and immediately we started planning. Okay, so we have to find a job, or we have to go to the university and study to get, obviously, the qualifications so you could work in that environment you have decided to. I was following the wrong pattern again, the pattern of being in a medical field, even if I like that, but languages was the thing that I always wanted to do, but the circumstances were deviating me from the path that I wanted to follow. So I went to university, and even to get to the university, I had to do a lot of prerequisite courses because my documents of my schooling from former Czechoslovakia were not recognized. And you start again, prerequisite courses, biology, chemistry, mathematics, calculus, all these things. And eventually I passed. It was very difficult because at that time, during those studies, I had family, 2 children. I was working full-time job in 40 apartment buildings. It was a residential area, cleaning, whatever it could be, and full-time studying at university. It was so difficult, and I quit at one point. I quit in, it was during the molecular biology class, or no, it was not. It was in the inorganic chemistry, calculating the titration and stuff like that. I got so upset about, because you are tired, you cannot focus, you have so many obligations around you. I quit from that class, but before I reached home, I decided, no, you cannot do that, you have to go back. I was crying, actually. So I went back to the class, and eventually I finished university. And when I finished university, there was a political situation in Quebec, that Quebec wanted to separate from Canada. So it was another blow. All of a sudden, the jobs that were available to us as a bachelor, as a degree in science and a bachelor of nursing, I couldn't find a job because they closed about 7 hospitals on this island in Montreal. So it was another blow. So I decided to go, you know what, I don't want to be in this anymore, because I was also working as a long time in the immunology research in the Montreal General Hospital, under the supervision of Dr. Bernard, and that research was amazing. It was research, cytotoxic activity with HIV-exposed patients. So I have isolated white blood cells, and we are doing experiments with isotope of sodium. And so it was very interesting. I learned a lot of terminology, not just from the McGill University where I studied, that I learned about the medical profession and about the nursing profession, about the research. I love it. The terminology is very, very useful that you can learn there. And you can obviously practice in that. And because that political situation was so difficult, I was offered a job to work for the Registered Education Saving Plan, which is an RESP, where federal government of Canada is matching 20% of clients' contribution to families from in the province of Toronto, province in Ontario, and province in Quebec, because I was switching these provinces. Again, the dream was to become, in that case, that RESP representative, being basically independent, self-employed, and make good money. Yes, so the dream is there. So if I summarize a little bit from Czechoslovakia coming here, it was always that dream. Without the dream, you will achieve nada, rien, absolutно rien, ничего, никогда. The dream has to be there, because that gives you that vital force to move, you know. And sometimes, as I mentioned, you don't have to be necessarily in the right direction, because eventually your heart beats and say, look, this is what I want to do. So it came to the point that recently, it was about 2 months ago, an email pop up, and there was this email, why don't you do something with those languages? So finally I decided that's my dream. I have enough knowledge of industry I would like to work in. I have enough knowledge of many languages that I have learned. I have learned Spanish, Italian, German, Russian. I have my Czech language, Slovak language, Polish language, English language. And this is what I wanted. I've always wanted to do that. I knew that I have all these resources available to me, but those circumstances were always pushing me in a different direction, like saying, no, don't do that, I don't want you to do that. No, I want to do that. So the day you make your decision about what you want to achieve in your life, this is the day when it happens. It has to be backed by action. And who cares if you do not see that goal still vividly, that you don't see exactly where you are, even if it is good to position yourself there, that seeing yourself, this is what I want to do. Yes, but once you set up that goal and once you find your resources, you do it, you have to expect that there will be so many obstacles. They will try to prevent you from achieving that. These obstacles will probably deprive you of your dream. Those obstacles may steal your dream. Don't never ever allow anybody to steal your dream. And if you know that you want to work for yourself and you know that you have certain abilities to do it, because you will do it for yourself. You invest in yourself. Unfortunately, I'm not saying it's bad to work for somebody else. You have to do it. But unfortunately, you are filling up the pocket of that somebody else, not your pocket. And on the top of it, if you work for somebody else and they let you go, what do you have? You have nothing. So, as I'm saying, like my path of achieving whatever I wanted to do and achieve is becoming a reality. And it is always not the destination. That destination comes, but it's that journey which is so important, because that journey will do something with you. You might be introvert, you might be extrovert, whatever personality type. As long as you go where you need to go, your personality or your performance of personality, I'm not saying it will change entirely, but it will acquire certain attributes that will complete you with what you need to do and what you want to do. So that was my journey. There was a lot of pain, of course. No gain without pain. I have went through divorce. I found myself in the situation that I got diabetes and I got other diseases which I didn't take that much seriously, because who cares? It is there, even if during that path that you want to achieve. So before I wrap it up, I would like to say something very, very important. What I have learned in my life is that you either allow somebody else discipline you, or you discipline yourself. I know it's better to discipline yourself, because the one who disciplines you doesn't have the same intention and doesn't care that much about you. So that's very important. So that's basically it, and I would just like to say, enjoy the rest of your day or whatever, or wherever you are, and adios amigos, arrivederci, до свидания, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir mes amis, adios amigos, nashledanou, doviděnia, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.